Motorsport 411 presents
all the 4- and 2-wheeled action.
Motorsport 411 with Sean Cardovillis.
Welcome to Motorsport 411, your home for all your 4- and 2-wheel action in Africa. This week we pay tribute to our fallen stars following the deaths of the Hyundai factory driver Craig Breen and the 2-time Africa champion Singh Snr.
All the 4- and 2-wheeled action. Motorsport 411.
Welcome to the show.
Craig Breen, if this morning was mighty, well, this is another level. Fastest by 7.8 to lead the rally by 7.7. What is it about this stage?
Don't let anyone ever put you down, because only you know your true potential.
Don't forget to enjoy it. Don't forget to have fun. Of course, it's competition and there's pressure, and you're one of the most lucky people in the world to get to drive in the World Rally Championship. Just experience it all. You have to have fun. Life is very short.
So it was a tragic week for motorsport as Craig Breen, Singh Snr and a crew competing in the European rally lost their lives. Singh Snr's demise was a huge blow for Zambian motorsport after the 2-time Africa Rally champion succumbed to a heart infection in India on Thursday last week. Also on the same day, Craig Breen, the Hyundai factory driver, died at a pre-test event for the Croatian round of the World Rally Championship, although his co-driver James Fenton escaped unharmed. Last year in June, I had the opportunity to speak to Breen, a real honour for me. That was just before the WRC Safari Rally, courtesy of Red Bull Kenya. I started off by asking him about his thoughts on the Safari.
Yeah, obviously it's an incredibly iconic event. You know, it's one of the most famous rallies in the World Championship. It's great that it's now finally back after all these years. So obviously, yeah, everybody remembers the images from years and years ago. You know, when the Safari Rally was one of the main stops every year on the calendar. You know, an incredible challenge. You know, probably one of the most difficult challenges in terms of reliability and the endurance factor of rallying. So it's definitely great that it's back. I'm extremely happy. I didn't do the event last year, so I'll be experiencing it all for the first time, and just looking forward to seeing what it's all about.
Yeah, of course, you mentioned that you didn't do the event last season. What do you know of the route? What are you expecting yourself when you go out in the recce?
Well, okay, obviously I got to have a look at the images from last year. I got to see what the rally was about. We can, watch some of the onboards from previous seasons, but until we get up there and actually see what the roads are like, it's going to be difficult to truly understand the height of the challenge. But of course, like I said, it's going to be difficult, extremely rough. The weather is also quite unsure at the moment. Looks like we could have quite a bit of rain. So yeah, it will be a huge challenge for both car and crew. But I'm looking forward to it. I think, like I said, it's one of the most traditional and historic events on the calendar, and I'm just excited and happy that finally we can take part.
The Safari Rally, I'm sure you've been told, a lot of people say that you have to respect the event. It's not always about speed. It's about respecting the routes and the toughness of the routes. From your point of view, do you think that could be true?
Yeah. Like I said before, it's a difficult rally. It's definitely not like the traditional events in the World Championship. It's a lot more difficult, a lot tougher. The roads are not really roads; they're more paths, just kind of beaten through the landscape, and that provides a big challenge for everyone. It's definitely more about preserving the car, not making any stupid mistakes. Not pushing too hard, because we've seen it even last year. If you do push too hard, you put the car under a lot of stress, and in the end, you end up doing harm, doing damage, and you end up losing time. So it's an event where you definitely need to think about it a bit more. You need to be a bit more careful in your approach. And, this is something that I'm going to have to learn. I haven't done, like I spoke to you before, the events that I've used to be doing these last couple of years are the Estonians, Finland, Sweden's, Arctic Rally, those flat out fast rallies where you just have to push absolutely to the maximum from the first meters of the first stage until the last one. So this will be something new for me to learn this weekend, but ready to take it on.
So that's just part of the interview Craig Breen and I had just before the start of the Safari last year. Craig Breen, who's passed away at the age of 33. We'll be back.
All the 4- and 2-wheeled action.
Motorsport 411.
So welcome back.
Just before 1 o'clock this afternoon, silence fell over Ferrybank as the funeral cortege carrying the remains of Craig Breen arrived at the Church of the Sacred Heart, and the world of motorsport has been united in grief.
But I have to say, for me, the highlight of my professional career has been being able to talk about Craig, to chat with Craig, commentate on his many, many successes. It's been an absolute privilege. And it's so hard as a broadcast journalist in rallying not to have favourites. You try and be so level and give everyone as much love as possible. But when Craig Breen was on the stage, my heart always fell for him. And I think he knew that. I hope he knew that. And I think certainly one of my abiding images is going to be of him at Rally Sweden recently with utter exhilarating joy at stage ends, loving what he was doing and celebrating that. And people loved it, and it was a tonic for them because it made them feel good, watching him feel good, watching him do something that he absolutely loved.
So as we mentioned, it's been a tragic week for the World Rally Championship with the passing away of Craig Breen. The WRC's lead commentator is Becs Williams. Becs, thank you so much as always for speaking to us on Motorsport 411. A hugely emotional day on Tuesday. How did it go in Ireland at the funeral?
Hey, Sean. Yeah, hugely emotional. Few days since the awful news came in about Craig Breen. I spent the past 3 days in Ireland. I've been there since Sunday to go and see the family, be with the family, and show my support for a guy who I've known for such a long time and have had such a huge amount of support for Craig Breen over the years. It was a massively emotional day on Tuesday at the funeral. Thousands of people were lining the roads out of respect for Craig, and people spoke so well at the funeral. I was absolutely honoured and privileged to be asked by the family to say a few words about Craig and his life and what he meant to me, and it was lovely to be able to do that and share the stories. There's so many wonderful stories and huge amounts of memories of Craig and how he was as a person. I think we can all, you think of Craig Breen, you think of his huge smile and his laugh and his joy of rallying. And I think those kind of moments will see us through some dark days of missing him in the coming weeks, months and years.
Becs, his navigator James Fenton, he escaped the accident unhurt. Did you get to meet up with him in Ireland?
Yes, I certainly did. It's going to be tough times for James. Obviously, he's been through a traumatic experience, but he has the wealth of the motorsport community around him, the rallying community around him, to get him through a difficult period. James is a fantastic guy. Again, a huge lover of the sport, just as Craig was, and they were just starting their journey together, really, side by side. James just sitting alongside Craig for the first time last year, of course, but they've known each other for a good amount of years. So it's difficult times, really, Sean, for everyone who knew Craig, especially the family. It is really difficult, and like I said, I think everyone is finding solace at the moment in knowing how happy he was in his professional life right now, coming back to the Hyundai team, having such amazing success in Sweden and taking so much joy out of rallying. And he did that on a daily basis. Craig Breen would go to a rally on the way to a rally and go to a rally on the way home. He loved rallying so much. Any excuse to get into a car, he would absolutely take it. And he could talk to you all day about historic rally cars, about any rally car. He loved it so much.
He really embodied the Irish spirit, sort of down to earth. I got to speak to him just before the Safari Rally. He gave us all the time in the world. He was not, in no hurry to leave. It just seemed like he was very down to earth, and he loved the sport. It's almost like he was living the dream.
Oh, he was living the dream, and this was his dream. From an early age, he would tell his school teachers, when he was asked, what he was planning to do with his life, what he wanted to do for a career, he would flat out tell them, I'm going to be a WRC driver. I'm going to be driving in the WRC. And his teachers would say to his parents, he's got to maybe have a think about something else because he keeps telling us this. And it's even in his school yearbook, I want to be a driver in the WRC. So, he had a dream and he lived his dream. And there's not many of us on this earth that can say that.
Now, it appears to be a tragic week for motorsport last week. 2 accidents. We had a crew that died during a European rally, and then Craig Breen with this test crash. He was preparing for the Croatia rally. We've had, away from that, Singh Snr, the 2-time Africa champion, sadly passing away. It just appears to be a dark week for motorsport.
Yeah, unfortunately it is. And you do find times like that in life, whether it be in motorsport, whether it be in your own family, where people go through really hard times, and it does appear to be one of those times. But Sean, what I always find, we've had circumstances like this where we've lost people, whether it be, it's a long time since we've lost people in competition, but even people who've moved on from the sport, just got older and passed away. The rally community really comes together when the chips are down. Everyone is there for support. And I think that's the crucial thing right now. You mentioned, Craig Breen's character there, his personality, how much time he had for people, how much time he had for you before the Safari Rally. And I think for me, that's one of the biggest parts of his character. He loved to chat. He was so invested in people. He was so interested in people. And that showed. And the amount of messages we've received as a championship, but also personally, I've received to Instagram, to Facebook. People sending me messages, thanking me for all the interviews over the years, the banter that Craig and I had together, and how much they loved listening to it. And what they would say is, these are the words I take away from it. I never met him, but I felt like I knew him. I never met him, but I felt like I knew him through the television, through radio, through all the interviews he did, because he showed himself as a person. He wasn't afraid to show his emotions, whether he was riding up on cloud 9 or whether he was in the depths of despair. You knew who Craig Breen was because he showed that to you. So many people are feeling his loss right now, but then you see the community coming together. Everyone's taking care of each other. And that's the beauty, I think, of our sport. There are some dark times, but there are always arms to hold you in those dark days.
There is a video that's been trending over the last couple of days, Craig Breen with young Craig Kanyottu last year at Rally Sweden. And he was very happy, to impart his knowledge to younger drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, that's one of the biggest things for Craig, is that he wanted to inspire a raft of other drivers into the sport. And McRae certainly was one of them. He was kind of in the car with McRae, wasn't he, co-driving for him? And then that whole tea shot, that's the video you're talking about. McRae Kanyottu trying to make tea, which Craig found absolutely hilarious. But he did dedicate his time, and just in the recent weeks, he was with some of the junior drivers in Ireland, imparting his knowledge, taking time out of what is a really busy schedule for himself at the time to go and be with the youth, because he knows himself, as he was coming up through the ranks, how much he took from other people who were doing the same thing. And I think, again, that shows another element of his character. He wanted to give back to the sport as much as, he took from it.
For us in Kenya, we were very privileged to have him come over. There was also another video of an Irish flag. This was during the shakedown when he was taking part with Ford. He, of course, was with Ford last season. We were very privileged to see him, even though he had a tough rally.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he was delighted to come to Kenya as well. He'd watched all the videos, earlier in his career and seen the amazing sights and sounds of the country, and he wanted to be there. And I remember speaking to him at the rally, and he'd been out and he'd seen some giraffes, and he was blown away by, just the animals, the people. He absolutely loved his time in Kenya, even though the rally wasn't so great for him. I think the experience of actually being there was.
I think what's shocking for most people is that, he was preparing for Croatia. Hyundai had already prepared his car, along with the other cars to go to Croatia. This is going to be an extremely difficult rally for them. We've already seen they've got the black livery with the Irish flag on the roof. It's going to be an extremely tough rally for them.
Yeah, it absolutely is for the team. And I think some of the images that have already gone out there, actually not the complete livery of the car yet. That hasn't been fully revealed. So there will be a few more bits and pieces in the next 24 hours that are put onto that car. The final reveal, I think, is going to be later today. But it's a very nice gesture, which has been in collaboration with the Breen family. The Breen family really wanted to see an Irish flag on the car. I think originally it was just going to be maybe a black livery, but they wanted to see some colour because that's what Craig was. He was a colourful character, and they wanted to see the Irish flag on there. I think it's a fantastic tribute from the team to Craig. It really is, and it's going to be a tough weekend for the whole WRC community. But again, everyone will pull together because Craig will want everyone to just rally on. In his mind, he would want things to continue. He would be appalled if we weren't out here doing this weekend. That's what he would want us to be doing, and we will do our very best to honour him this weekend.
Bex, we can see already a number of things planned for Craig in terms of honouring him during the Croatia rally, from a video, of his life, moment silence. Can you tell us what's going to happen?
Yeah, I think again, Sean, it's a bit of a movable feast right now, but we will be having a minute silence at the ceremonial start tomorrow, and there will be a tribute video played for him when he should have crossed the ceremonial start, his start time for the rally. And there'll be a few emotional things throughout the weekend, and the list gets added to of things that are going to be done. So tomorrow at the ceremonial start, certainly the Irish flag will be at half-mast. We'll have a minute silence, and the tribute video will play for the time that Craig should have gone across the start ramp.
All right, Bex, just away from Craig briefly, Sebastian Ogier in stunning form at the moment. He should start out as favourite once again in Croatia.
Absolutely, yes. He is in great form, isn't he? A partial season, and he seems to be really coming into his own. Championship leader, he didn't quite expect that. But I think what's really fascinating, Sean, is that we have so many drivers within just a handful of points. It's not been this close in the championship for quite a number of years, and that is great to see. It means competition will be really close. And to be honest, in my mind, because I've just been consumed, I think, in the past few days, as we all have, for Craig, and I haven't thought so much about the weekend ahead until I've actually arrived in Croatia. But it's going to be a great weekend's competition to see who will potentially be leading the championship at the end of it. What the weather will do is looking dry at the minute. Maybe some rain on Sunday, but it's always quite changeable here. So that could make it interesting out there. I tell you what, there'll be a lot of people watching this weekend. They'll be watching to see the tributes to Breen. I think mainly to see the competition, to see the drivers' reactions. And it'll be an emotional and a tough weekend for us all.
And one other note involving Kenya, we had McRae Kimathi last year taking part in the Junior Rally Championship. We've got young Hamza Anwar, who's being financed by his father, the local motorsport legend Asad Anwar. He's competing this weekend.
He is competing this weekend, and it's a tough challenge, this, for the junior guys, because the tarmac here may be slightly different to any other that they've experienced. And even the WRC drivers have said the same. When we came here for the first time 2 years ago, it's definitely got a unique identity, this rally. And, it's pretty fast, and the changeable weather conditions make it really difficult with tyre choice. So it's one of the most challenging tarmac events we have, away from, your Monte Carlo rally, which isn't considered a full tarmac event because of the potential of snow and ice, of course. But this one, you really need to be on your money. And I think for the junior drivers, probably one of the biggest challenges on their championship calendar.
Finally, Becs, your parting shot for the late Craig Breen?
Sean, difficult. A friend. I've lost a friend. I mean, I've interviewed him a million times over the years. We got to know each other so well, and I became close to him, to his family. It's a huge loss, but my goodness, for a 33-year-old, he packed an enormous amount into his life, and he took a huge amount of joy from competing, from rallying, from this sport, and he gave a huge amount of joy to all of us watching, and I shall forever remember that.
Becs Williams, the lead commentator for the World Rally Championship. Thanks so much for taking the time out to speak to us on Motorsport 411.
Thank you, Sean.
We'll be back.
Motorsports 411 with Sean Cardovillis.
So that's it for the show this week. Our thanks to Becs Williams, the WRC's lead commentator. Our thanks as always to Big City Studio. I'm Sean Cardovillis. See you next week.